I'm going on an adventure!
You may quest the way you like. I will quest the way I like.
What is your quest?
This is the first stop on your first quest. We shall go together.
What kind of a quest?
An ancient seer who helps many on their quest.
If it's for the quest, we will do what needs to be done.
Will be my quest.
For the quest.
Your quest.
Let us quest! This quest sucks.
So I listened to Ready Player One this last year, and it's been one of my favorite books. Not for necessarily like, oh, it's the greatest story ever told. It is like just jam packed full of 80s nerd history, and I grew up in the 80s. I am a nerd. I like history. I like nerd history from the 80s. I love the book.
It's some nerd-stalgia for sure.
Yes. Major nerd-stalgia. With that being said,
that exact sigh just came out of my mouth as well.
We were jacked for this movie. I mean, we were super pumped.
So much pumpage.
So much pumping. So much pumping, no release.
Yeah, that's a fantastic description of what happened in this movie.
I'm gonna go first because I think your rage is gonna go more.
I've been able to like slowly release the steam on my rage over the last like week. Like, yeah, it's been a slow release valve, but it has released a little bit on that release valve. So.
I'm at the point where I can separate it now and say, here's what I'm going to say. If you have not read the book, please go watch this movie. It is a good movie. It is a fun movie. You will leave the theater feeling good, feeling like you had a great time, that you saw some really, really cool stuff. You will feel good about it. If you have read the book, I'm just going to say beware. Especially if you're like me and you read a book and you're like, I want this to be as good as the book. It's not.
Yeah, and it's going to be extreme. Either complete love or complete hate if you've read the book.
Yeah. Most people that I know that have really read the book and love the book are not fans. I think they can do the same thing I'm doing where they're separating. They're going, it's a great movie, but it's not the book. And it's almost like they're two separate things at this point. In my mind, that's the only way I can reconcile is to separate these two and say they're not the same thing.
Yeah, and we'll have a link somewhere, I'm sure, or I'm sure West will put up a box around my head somewhere, maybe yours, about a link to his video at WonderCon where they had a panel on Ready Player One. And they talk a little bit about it, right? They talk a little bit about the differences from the movie and the book and how the writer of the book kind of took a back seat because he was such a big fan of Spielberg and was kind of like, Spielberg, you do your thing, bro. Well, the thing was, is Spielberg didn't write the movie.
Ernest Cline said a lot. Ernest Cline's the author, and he said a lot of things in that panel that I think a lot of the things he said helped me calm down a little bit about it. He's like, well, it's a different media, and that, and he was heavily, not, I don't want to say heavily involved, but he was absolutely involved in decision making, or at least like giving his blessing on the direction that they went with a lot of things. That made me feel a little bit better. However, when you watch this panel, one of the first things that comes out of his mouth is how much of a Spielberg fan he is and how much of his youth and what he does is shaped by Spielberg. And he is unequivocally a Spielberg fanboy. So when you have someone that is his words, your hero, his hero, directing his movie, how is he going to say no about certain things? How is he really going to have the mindset to say, like, you know what, that's not my vision? Because it's like your ultimate hero, like doing something. How are you going to say no to it? And so that's the part of that interview process thing that I had a problem with is I'm like, dude, it's your idol. Yeah. Like, what were you going to do? Tell him like, no, I'm not okay with you giving away this secret. I'm not okay with you letting everybody know that H is really a black woman and you put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
And if you didn't think that this was going to be spoilers, I already warned you people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're well past that.
Just killed it for me when I saw H driving the minivan just so they could get off that line. Like, I'm practicing my Mario Kart, yo.
Yeah.
Sorry, she's a great actress, by the way.
She's fantastic, and
it has nothing to do with the actors or actresses.
It has nothing to do with any person. It has nothing to do with anybody involved except for the screenwriters and the people who edited this film. I think Spielberg came in and did his job, and I was really excited for this film because Spielberg was attached to it, and he did a great job because he turned this book, which really there's no technology for it. There's no way it should have been, able to get onto the big screen with some of the forward thinking and futuristic stuff that was going on with it. And Spielberg did that, and he put it on screen, and he made it visually spectacular.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. Really cool, really great vision for what was going on. The problem was in the story being told. Yep. And absolutely. That was because here's the thing, like when I first heard about Ready Player One, it was from it. I got the book in a loot crate.
Oh, nice. And
so I was like, what the hell? Ready Player One, let me go check this out. And I started Googling it. All right. I started Googling like what the book was, what was going on with it. And the only reviews I could really find on it were from some of my least favorite people in the world over at another site called Nerdist. And I was like, well, I'm not reading this because I honestly think it's a douchey fan service and I don't care. And then I had to move from Dallas to California, and I needed a book to listen to for 18 hours worth of driving. And so I decided Ready Player One it is. There's a movie coming out for it. It looked awesome at Comic-Con. I should probably check this out finally. And holy hell, I ended up loving the book. I ended up loving everything about the book because it was so well thought out. It was so well done. I loved Artemis's character. I loved Parzival's or Wade Watt's character. I loved H's character. I loved Daito and Sho. I loved Halliday. I loved what Halliday put together for the people of the Oasis. And Halliday's mindset behind it all, right? And his thought processes on bringing people together who normally would never have met, who normally never would have had anything in common, and who socially, awkwardly, whatever it was, would have never been able to encounter each other. And he created a world where people could come in and be heroes, where people could come in and be something greater than they were and have a bigger purpose than they had out in the real world. And to me, that meant a lot because I'm a huge gamer. I play a ton of World of Warcraft. I've been playing it for a little over 12 years now. I still play it to this day. I can't wait for the new expansion of for Azeroth. I love what this story told and the reasons behind that, right? Because of Halliday's regrets and his thoughts and everything that he wanted to bring to the world. But he was a game developer. And a game developer in the 80s where it was a child's toy, a child's plaything. And he was able to create the Oasis, which gave purpose to so many people. Billions. The whole entire world. He was able to gift them something that gave every single one of them a purpose. And that right there is like I think the ultimate dream of every coder, game tester, game manager, game studio. I think that's where it all begins before it gets into the dollar processes. And Halliday talks about that, and Ernest Cline talks about that in his book and things like that and the corruption that eventually comes. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I want to say is the actor that played him, I thought did an amazing
absolutely
job of because the book really ties into I don't believe it comes right out and says it, but he's on the autism spectrum. I mean, it gives you that idea that he is a genius.
For sure.
Absolute genius, but he's also on the spectrum there. And I thought his mannerisms and just the way I thought he did a fantastic job. I like what you're saying about just his direction, his vision. And you know who I think of when I think of this character? I think of Nikola Tesla, dude. Because he had these great ideas and these ways to make the world better that were not tied to making money.
Yeah.
And very much Halliday was had these great ideas about making the world better. And he had no thoughts about I want to profit off of this.
Absolutely.
He was very much against profiting off of it.
Because that was never his end goal. His end goal was not to make $1 off of it, which obviously is a great side effect. And it's not to have a product that only produces money. He had a product to give life to people who would never normally know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that gaming does in general. Like, I'm a huge advocate for Child's Play, which is a charity from the PAX, the Penny Arcade folks, that they donate games to children's hospitals and to kids who are terminally ill, to kids with disabilities, things like that, where they're never going to be able to really go out and probably kick a soccer ball or throw a football or do any of those things, but they can still create and live and be a part of a bigger and greater idea and world through games. And I love that this was something that was explored through Ready Player One.
Yeah. Can I tell you the first disappointing thing for me?
So
it doesn't even have to do with characters.
I mean, sure, yeah, go ahead, because I want to break down the characters a little bit. So
yeah, so before we even get to the characters, the first time you see Wade put on the Oculus headset and he goes into the Oasis, I'm going to ask you, because you've read the book, Nat, what is the first thing that is seen on the screen visually? 3 words. Ready Player One. That's the name of the book, and that is the first thing that pops up on the screen before you enter the Oasis.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, how do you not like put that on there like that?
How is that a moment that's missed?
Because that was like a huge nerd moment of like,
yeah,
every amazing game that you played like way back when in the 80s was always that like Ready Player One. Hell yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
like,
and
get this game going.
From anything, from the big arcades in the 70s to the home consoles in your lap to the Game Boys and even the phones that we carry. That is always the first piece. It always has been and always will be a big part of games, because there is something about that moment where you're logging in to that world.
Yeah, so to not have that, I was like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's talk about the real issue, which was not visual. I can even get past the changes to the actual tasks and
absolutely
the lack thereof of certain tasks.
100%.
I can get past that. I would have loved to have the Monty Python reenactment of, right?
Well, this is a perfect example, right?
The Shining part was friggin' awesome. That was actually one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, and this is just a perfect example of one of my biggest issues with this movie was I told you guys, I've told you on this show, I've told you on our main show, Malicecast, I was 100% ready for them mainstreaming some of these moments, because solving a riddle from Halliday to then go into a Dungeons and Dragons quest on a home world that he's being schooled in is not something that's going to be fun on the screen.
Right.
The Monty Python reenactment, what was it? Mind Game? Why can't I think of the game right now with Matthew Broderick? War Games. The War Games reenactment. That stuff is not going to, that's a super niche kind of audience right there. Yeah. That's not going to be your main movie going audience, and that stuff wouldn't have translated well onto film. It just wouldn't have.
Yep.
And I'm 100% behind the changes that they had to make something that was more visually striking and more interactive and more personal, things like that, and something, you know, more recognizable, honestly, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hotel, that hotel scene was just fantastic.
And the race, everybody's played a racing game, you know. Yep. Everybody has seen a DeLorean, everybody has seen the T-Rex from Jurassic Park and King Kong in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
All of that stuff, you know, I'm okay with those changes. What I wasn't okay with was the fact that they made those things and the idea that that's what Halliday would have put in, and the solving of some of those things, that's what they thought Halliday would have done. And that is, I think, an absolute bastardization of what Halliday was about and his ideas and his thought process that was created in that book by Ernest. And that was my most upsetting piece to this whole movie, because there's no way that Halliday makes it going in reverse on a racetrack. That would have been found by a troll the first day. They just wanted to screw with the game.
Yep.
if you've ever played an online game, some asshole is in there to ruin your day. It's why, like Monster Hunter that we play a ton of, they eliminated the ability for you to hit people while they were carving monsters, because there are people in this world that wanted to watch the world burn and were monsters, technically. You know, there are just trolls out there, and that wouldn't have been years before that was found. It's bullshit for you to try to make the audience think that we're that stupid that we needed to believe that.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
Now, the Shining piece, on the other hand, I loved the idea. But the thing is Halliday was a chicken shit for the most part. He would never have had a horror movie be a part of this game. And I loved the sequence. Don't get me wrong. Like, I loved the idea of The Shining, some of the zombies, the sequences, the visuals, and that last dance sequence that he tried to get back. Maybe, but there's no way he would have had a horror movie in his game.
Right.
It upset me all to hell to think that was Halliday would have had a Shining. But no, he wouldn't have.
It was his favorite horror movie.
No, and there's even a point in there where they talk about his favorite first person is GoldenEye. He was not a shooter player. He was an 80s gamer.
Yeah.
The GoldenEye Nintendo 64, I do not believe was anywhere in there.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And if it was, please correct me. Please correct me.
It was very small in passing if it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, if it was, let me know. Correct us. Quest for Movies.
One of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. But.
Yeah, but once again, you know, that was fan service versus actual like following up on the character, because his favorite game was Adventure on the Commodore. So
yeah,
or the Atari, whatever it was. Sorry, apologize. But it just really upset me that they thought we should believe that when that was nowhere near the character. The second one was Artemis. Actually, the second and third were probably tied. Artemis, I was really pissed off that they made her some hussy that was trying to pump information from Wade Watts by rubbing on his crotch and trying to seduce him, because that was not her character at all. And I think that is a very poor way to portray female gamers, that they're just out there trying to seduce and, you know, turn guys into mumbling idiots because they can use you know, sex to get what they want.
Her character, while Wade is super knowledgeable about Halliday lore in the book and the movie, Artemis is right there with him,
if not better in most aspects.
He knows so much about Halliday, whereas like Wade, I think of Wade as like the OCD Halliday follower. Like, he was like, I'm going to play every single game, I'm going to read every single book, I'm going to watch every single movie, I'm going to listen to every single song he did. And he was like, I'm going to immerse myself into it. Whereas Artemis she knew it. She was so knowledgeable. She had her own like video cast that she would do all the time. And that's how Wade and everybody knew who she was, because she was this famous avatar that like knew so much about Halliday and would do these casts. And it made, I don't know, it felt like she was, to your point, she was using like sex to get an advantage to learn more about something that, and it just, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It didn't feel right it didn't feel true to the character that she was.
And it didn't feel true to the game and the world that was created in the books, because they made her part of a leader of a resistance. And that is not what these characters were. These were kids at home that once again had that greater purpose, right? That found themselves doing something bigger than anyone would have ever allowed them to do in society. And the thing is the world is so oppressive outside of the Oasis that there would have been no resistance. There would have been nothing like that going on for her to lead on like that.
I did like that they emphasized she was all about like not allowing IOI control of the Oasis, which is
that's her character for sure.
Through the story, absolutely. And she was very intense on that. And the moment where Wade is like, I'm in love with you, she definitely goes to that space of like, we don't have time to be thinking about this.
Yes.
Like, one, you don't know who I am, you don't know what I'm about, but what's more important is stopping IOI. And she was very much laser focused on that.
Yeah,
and feeling like Wade was a distraction to her.
Also, the whole idea of the Gunter and those Gunters was no clan. And for her to be a resistance leader in a clan betrays who
There
she
was
is
much
in the
sharing going
game.
on of information, which did not happen in the book. Like,
Way.
there were little hints that were given on a couple of the quests, but for the most part, it was like Artemis figured out where he went, and then she went and did it. It wasn't like he tipped her off, and then that's how she got through.
Yeah.
No, she figured it out on her own.
Yeah, the
She was
only
just,
tip
like,
that he
one step
gave her
behind.
was to play on the left side. That was it.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
the
for
book.
Joust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
But
it.
like when they found the tunnel or whatever, she found it on her own.
Yeah.
They actually met. They were like in the same.
And she'd been
spot.
working on it for weeks prior to him.
Yeah. So it just, yeah, to me it felt like they made her character was so strong in the book. And so here's what I think. So they had to take her and make her the one that gets captured by IOI.
They made her a damsel in distress.
They had to make her the one that's like that's in distress that has to be rescued, rather than it being about Wade being self-sacrificing himself and going there on purpose to be able to infiltrate IOI and create the and get to where they wanted to be.
Yeah,
they made
because
her a damsel in distress and then gave her a way out to say, oh, well, since you're in there, why don't you help us out with this? And then she had the moment of like, I'm going to go and do this. You guys wait for my signal. And then she took charge. And it's just,
well, the thing was, is
the
in
things
the
they did just hurt the characters to me. It just betrayed them in a lot of ways.
I think it would have worked even better if they would have. This is a moment where they needed to stay more true to the books, was because the whole time that Wade is in there, like being captured and under his surveillance and all those things, and he's part of the service center, she's out there kicking ass, crushing, solving puzzles. She's out there leading a fight against IOI still. And he's in there, trying to figure some shit out and trying to handle business. And why can't she be the one kicking ass and leading the charge and fighting against everybody? Like, why does she have to be the one that got captured and the damsel? Like I said, they made her a damsel in distress, and that is never who Artemis, that character, is. Not once.
Yeah. And then can we talk about H real quick?
We can talk about H, because I'm going to talk about Sorrento, because I love...
And Og as well.
Oh,
well,
God, yeah. Og
where
is-
was Og? Og popped up at the very end when he's an instrumental character in the book, but we don't have to go there. I'm just going to say they screwed Og. Og was an instrumental in the book.
Absolutely.
And helping them finish the quest, and they kind of screwed him. H, here's my problems. They made H's avatar into this like bionic, big old like
Frankenstein monster.
Dark skinned, right?
Yeah.
Ogre looking thing
Mm-hmm.
with a voice changer thing. So if you've seen the preview and you're like, oh, well, which real life person would be this big old ogre thing with a voice changed? Oh, it must be the female black woman.
Yeah.
Like in the book, white, dark haired, like is the avatar, very much like a Backstreet Boy. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there is when you're reading the book, there is no way that you knew that, oh, this is going to be an overweight African American female.
Yeah.
No way, no chance in hell. And it was a huge surprise when you get towards the last few chapters of the book. It's a good surprise. You're like, oh hell yes, dude! Like yes.
Well, because it's also a great tale of why H did that and the character that H created, and why H was hiding in that world as that character, because they talk about her and her mom. They created those characters like that because her mom couldn't get a job in the Oasis with being a black female. That H would have been looked down upon by other gamers being a black female in those characters, and they created themselves as white male avatars to get a leg up in the world. And I think just in the climate of what's going on, and we're not going to dive into politics or anything like that, that's not this show, but why not have an amazing story like that? And it just, they left so much on the table with it, and they worked on the movie long enough. It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have put something like that in there, because it's so powerful of what it should have been.
Yep.
So powerful.
Yep.
And then Sorrento. In the books, I think probably one of the best villain characters, especially like corporate douchebag villains out there.
Scary.
Because scary, absolutely, because he was willing to do anything. He's the one that killed the stacks. That he killed those people. He killed multiple others. He even kills Daito. He orders the killing for Daito. He does all of these things because he's a ruthless, terrible person run by greed. And for them to create another character to go and do Sorrento's bidding because Sorrento is some bumbling corporate moron and who leaves his password out on a post-it note, like,
and then like that gets kicked in the nuts, and there's that whole like, I'm like,
even the slap in the face at the very end in the cop car, like they turned Sorrento into a Three Stooges style character.
Yeah.
And it was that was my biggest issue. Was this is the Oasis where it did retinal scans and voice recognition, and he has a password sitting. What the like? Whoa! I have my stress bar right here for this reason. Because this was the character that made me so angry. Because honestly, after they revealed the password, like being on his chair and things like that, I was ready to walk out of the film. This would be my first movie I ever walked out on in my life. And until the Shining sequence, I was ready to go. And the Shining sequence saved me because I was like, that's kind of badass. All right, that's cool. But then it even killed H's character with this decision, because rather than showing how badass of a character H is and being a hacker and being this great computer programmer and coder who could have hacked the unhackable rig of Sorrento's because he has all this powerful shit from Og, we get a password on a post-it note.
Yeah.
We get a what could have turned into an ultimate amazing moment for H, for Og, for Daito and Sho, or even Artemis. Like Artemis could have hacked it, right? And instead we get a post-it note on a chair.
It felt like a lot of what they did was like not a lot of it. I don't want to say, maybe I'm saying this wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like a lot of things just happened by chance.
Absolutely. They tried to make it feel more like right place, right time kind of circumstance shit. And we figured stuff out. But even like the whole H, like, oh, I saw a picture with her in it. And you're like, come on, dude. There was no puzzle solving there. It was H, clinging to life, like, there's so much wrong with this film. And that's the thing, and a lot of complaining on my end, and one of my things is we try to be more positive about what we're doing here and things like that, and honestly, they needed to make Artemis's character a lot stronger because it was a betrayal to her, and I'm sorry, but if you're watching this and you were in love with Artemis and in the books and you still haven't seen this movie and you're watching us right now, I cannot let you go watch this film because I think they absolutely bastardized Artemis. I cannot recommend it.
I'm a big book fan. I'm a huge book fan, and the audiobook read by Joss Whedon is fantastic.
It was excellent. My dad, who gives no shits about games, who you've met, the Papa of Big Papa Matt on our Father's Day episode, he was into this. He was asking me like, did that really happen with those games? I was like, well, not that exact point, but yes, like my dad was on the drive and he was getting into the book. So
the thing I love about the Joss Whedon is that he is the vice president of the Oasis. And so he's reading the book and he's talking about himself being the vice president of the Oasis. He basically calls himself a douchebag.
Yeah, he calls himself a corporate douche.
Moment where you're like, I love you, Joss. I love you for that right there, that you're willing to, or no, was it?
It was Joss, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. Yeah. Sorry, Joss. Yeah. I do love you too, but it's not as much. Because, Justice League. Sorry. I got a little Snyder right there. A little
Snyder remark. Yeah.
That joke's coming out.
And the thing is like IROC's character, like,
and then read the book.
My thing was you had strong characters. You had great strong characters in this story that you still used from the books. And one of the characters who should not have made it, honestly, from book to movie was IROC, in my opinion. And they sat there and they overdeveloped IROC's character to sacrifice what was really important in that film. And I love T.J. Miller. I love T.J. Miller to death, but they could have made something else for him.
It was just, I'm sorry, that character's garbage.
Yeah.
It was just dumb.
It was really, really bad.
It was really bad. It was really, really, really dumb and really, really bad. IROC is like this, like, very, very small part of the book. Character that goes to school with Wade and then, like, rats him out as being, like...
Parzival. That's what he does.
As being Parzival, basically. And it's, like, it's a very, very, very small part of the book. And they give him this, like, huge part in this movie. And yet you take a dump on all these other great characters.
Yeah.
And it's just, you should have never existed. And then the whole, like,
the Daito and Sho stuff, honestly, like, if you're gonna use them that little, just don't have them in the film, in my opinion. I would have been okay with those two being written out if it would have meant more time for some of the others to have more character development.
Yeah, I mean, I loved them in the book.
Yeah, very cool characters in the book.
Because, you know, like, it was sad when Daito dies, like, literally is murdered.
Yes.
By IOI. He's pulled out of his haptic chair and thrown off of a balcony, and they claim that it's a suicide. Like, that's how crappy of a person Sorrento is. Like,
yes, absolutely.
It really emphasizes the evil of IOI and the evil of Sorrento. They are an evil organization that is like, if we can control the Oasis, we can control the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is that intense of a struggle here. It's not just this, like, we gotta fight for the Oasis because we love it. I mean, it's like this matters, and it felt like they didn't make enough emphasis of, like, this, like, really seriously matters. And they had the Parzival speech at the end, which was great, and it happens kind of like that in the book, and he says a lot of the same things. But when you don't have enough of that, like, evil regime, like, just coming down at you, then how the more evil the resistance is, the stronger and better the force of good is. But if you just dole down the evil, then the good can't be that great.
100%. The best villains make the best heroes. The best villains make the best stories.
Yep.
Every single time.
Marvel is so great. It's because you got evil people like Doctor Doom. You have Magneto. You have these, like, characters that are villains that are just freaking monsters. And so you have these good villains that have to match with goodness, and we lost that. And it's just like, with having this stupid bumbling Sorrento.
Yeah. Go and do it for me. I don't want to hear how it's done.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Stupid. Not at all. Not at all. And that's all. I you know. And here's the thing. Like, I just want to reiterate this from the beginning. This is a movie you should go see, especially knowing that the changes are there, things like that. If you are a diehard lover of the books, it is tough to watch. It is tough to watch. If you can segment the two, you'll have fun. You'll have a great time. It is visually stunning.
Strongly recommend, if you have not read the book yet, watch the movie, then read the book.
Absolutely, 100%.
Flip those, and I honestly, this is one of the reasons that I'm going to start as best as I can watching movies first and then reading the books, because I can't take another heartbreak like this. I just can't, dude. Like I cannot handle it.
Yeah, it's
I will
rough.
lose my crap, dude.
This one was rough. Like, normal other books and things like that, I don't really have an issue. I'm okay that I can move past it. Some of them I like movies, some of the better than the books sometimes. This one was really tough because I did get really attached to Ready Player One's story and what it was about, because It's something that I truly do believe in. That I think video games are a great thing for people. I think games are phenomenal for people, especially when they're not overused. But this was rough, and it didn't keep that tone and that theme alive. Because even in stuff, you know, people can talk about like Harry Potter films or any other major franchise that was booked prior, anything like that. If you want, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. But what they did is they still kept the essence of characters alive.
Yep.
You know,
they stayed true to the characters.
Absolutely.
And if you can at least stay true to the characters, then I've got a lot more love for it. But when you do the characters dirty, it's hard for me to
back that horse for sure.
But with that being said, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, man. And I don't want to end like I said, you know, the high note is it is visually stunning. It's a fun time. If you got kids out there, you are going to have a blast with them, taking them to this film, because they're going to have all those references from you in the 80s. Like, there's still a lot of that nerd nostalgia in there. Awesome. And you're going to be able to talk to, you know, and pass some of that knowledge on and have those moments with kids and things like that. And even if you're younger and you want to see some really just awesome shit around VR and things like that, this is going to be fantastic for you as well. So lots of reasons to like the film. You know, I can see why it got some high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that. But those are my opinions. That's what I'm sticking by. Like I said, definitely worth the time in the film. But if you've read those books, you're a huge fan of the books, it's going to be tough to watch. It's going to be tough to watch.
Yeah.
Have lots of drinks prior, and then it won't be so bad.
Well, but we, you know, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go watch Quiet Place. I'm gonna go watch Quiet Place and go have a nice steak. It's gonna be great.
Highly recommended.
We'll watch a movie tomorrow. I'm gonna watch one probably on Sunday. So I'll be right back up, and we'll be back with you here in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
To review fantastic world of movies and film. And you know what, I've enjoyed the ride so far. We're 1/4 the way through it.
Quarter of the way through the year, quarter way through the movies. It's really exciting. It's been a blast. And then remember, if you guys have anything you want to share, hit us up on our Twitter at Quest for Movies. And if you guys want to join in the conversation, hit us up on that Quest for Movies. Man, we have a ton of fun on there with everybody who's out there. Thank you for all the 5-star reviews as well. We really can't thank you guys enough for liking, commenting, sharing, and not letting us quest alone. This has been a really fun kind of thing to do with B here, with Bcon. Like, I've been having a ton of fun with him talking movies and having a blast with them, and I want to keep having that fun with you guys as well. So keep sharing. Let us know what you guys really like. Let us know what you thought of Ready Player One. I think it's going to be a hot subject for a lot of people who've read the book, so let us know what you thought about that. And more than anything, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, all of those wonderful things. Please remember, like I said, I'm the Big Papa Matt. You can follow me on malice-corp.com or my Twitter handle at the Big Papa Matt. Also check out the brand new podcast coming, Comics for All, on Malice Cast as well. That's going to be a ton of fun on top of that, as well as the Nerd Mosh Pit, another Malice Corp family of brand podcast. And B, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, by the way, Nerd Mosh Pit is my guilty pleasure, bro. My guilty pleasure. I love listening to you, Kenny, and Nick talk, man. It is the conversation that you wish you could join. It is such a good, fun time. You can follow me on Twitter at Bcon_MaliceCorp. Yeah. You can also send us an email. Like, if you just want to, like, if you can't fit it into Twitter, like, shoot us an email, and that's quest for 100 movies, quest for 100 movies at gmail.com. We'll have the links down below.
Absolutely. And thank you to Mess With You 150 for all the help in producing all that good stuff as well. We can't thank you enough, buddy. We appreciate it. And other than that, we once again thank you all so much for your time, the love, the support. We really do appreciate it. And until next time,
yeah, friends don't let friends quest alone.
Peace.
Then let us be rid of it. Once and for all.
It's a dangerous business, Frodo. Going out your door, you step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.